Hey everybody, how's it going? Chuck here. Alright, here's the deal. The ignition switch in my Jeep's been kind of, I don't know, broke a little bit. Not really to the point of non-usable, just to the point of it's eventually going to give me an issue. And you're not really the ignition switch, it's the cylinder lock and key where you put the key into the column. That's more the issue than anything. So instead of me going through a big drill about telling you, let me just show you real quick. Okay, you notice on the ignition here that now I'm kind of holding it in actually at the moment, and look how much it moves. What's going on is this is, well, broke. If you look right inside here, see all the little jagged edges, the flashing or actually the molded edging or whatever you're going to call this is actually little by little breaking away. And what happens when you put the key in the ignition here and you try to turn it, all the pressure is on the key, which is a bad thing because eventually that key is going to break. What this right here is actually for, it's more than just a trim piece to look pretty. It is a, if I get the darn thing back in there. It is a way to turn by the metal here and not the key. Because if you keep twisting the key, you're going to break it. So you put the key in, you turn these metal wings right here like this, which engages the starter, and well, you're good to go. You start the Jeep up and you drive around your little merry way. But with this thing's twisting like that, all the pressure is being put on the key and it's eventually going to break. I could still put the key in there, activate the ignition, but as far as engaging the starter is where I'm afraid it's going to break the key. So the mod for the day is I'm going to use a switch to engage the starter. Let's get started. Alright, let's save yourself a lot of headache. Let's get the dash pieces out first. Got a screw here. The sun is blotting out my camera. Get over here. There's two right there. Got one right there. And seeing what the camera sees. Right here. And right there. Take all those screws out. Those two are at the bottom. You see right there and one over there. Okay, let's take those screws out. Okay, I'm going to show you the wires I've tapped. See this yellow wire? It's actually tapped into a green wire. Now, bear in mind, people, I'm looking through the camera, so my fingers are backwards, just looking at everything else. Alright, this wire right here, this green wire, going to the top of the ignition switch. So top back toward the firewall. And this red wire, let me find it again. Where's that? Again, I'm looking at everything backwards, it's confusing the heck out of me. Okay, this red wire is tapping into that red wire, which follows that black loom right there. See that red going into the ignition switch? That red wire right there is hot all the time. Even if your keys are in your pocket, that wire is still 12 volts all the time. That green wire right there is what activates your starter. So what I've done is tap that green wire here. I told you everything's backwards. I'm looking at it through the camera. Green wire here, I tapped it. Tapped that red wire, and we're going to put the switch in between the red, in between these two wires here. This is where the switch is going to activate the starter. So let me get underneath this dash so I can show you a little bit more comfortably. Okay, you see here, there's that red wire that's connecting to that big red wire underneath the dash. And here's the yellow wire that's connected to that fat green wire underneath the dash. And I tell you what, just for kicks and giggles, watch this. And I will show you guys something. Look, there's my ignition, no keys. Okay, you can hear the motor turning over, but it's not going to start because I don't have the ignition turned on, because I don't have the key in there. Okay, let's just stick the key in for kicks and giggles. Okay, I'm going to turn it, just so you guys see what's going on. Boom. Okay, right there, ignition's on. If I turn it any further, it's going to try to start it. Okay, now mind you, I do have it kicked out of gear, and I do have the tires scotched so that it doesn't roll. There you go. Now if you want to turn it off, you simply come over here, turn the key off. That's all you got to do. Now the way I've got it wired now, I still do have the option to use the ignition. Kind of weird angle for me to do this. see what I mean? Okay, see what I mean by the key being right there? When the key, all that torque gets twisted, that's a thin stamping of metal right there, that key. So you keep twisting and twisting, it's going to break that key off. So I'll eventually replace the ignition, but I thought it was just a good opportunity to show you guys a cool trick for doing a video. Now, as far as where you want to mount your switch at, that's totally up to you. I'm eventually going to make me an overhead console, which I'm going to put all micro switches and relays and stuff like that in. And don't worry, I'll video all that stuff, doing wiring diagrams, all that fun stuff too. But, I mean, put your switch where you want to. Now, some people's going to question, should we put a fuse in this? Well, let's just check that out. Let me show you guys how to do that. Okay, what you see here is a circuit tester. What this thing does, I'm going to turn it on. It measures how much amperage pull is on a circuit. So like right now, you know, it's showing 0 amperage pull because it's not doing anything. Alright, again, I've got the key out of the ignition just to show you guys, you know, it's not going to start. So I'm going to flip the switch and watch the amperage load. You see it went to 0.2 amps, 0.2 of an amp, and that's what it takes to engage the starter to kick the motor in to turn the engine over. So it takes very, very, very little amperage to engage the starter for it to do its thing. Looky! And my son creeping up on me. He's doing a stereo install on his car right now. And so anyway, what I'm planning on doing right here where the dash panel is, the dash comes over top of all this. This is a blank plate right here that shows through the dash panel. I'll probably put my switch in right there. And so I'll be right back. I just realized something I didn't do. Now I showed you guys how this amperage load thing turns on. It read the amperage and all that. But the wiring of it, and I'll put it into the circuit. This is the yellow wire that's going to the starter, that activates the starter. This is the red wire that I showed you a moment ago going from the ignition switch of the Jeep. The circuit, hot wire, no, the electricity is coming in through here into the switch. Switch, of course, is breaking the circuit. It comes out through this, cycles through this, then back out to the starter. So what it does, you know, whenever I flip this switch and the current completes the circuit here, it passes through this right here and it says, oh, okay, it's got 0.2 of an amp. So that's how you wire them in. Basically, it completes the circuit. You go in here and come out here, or vice versa. It doesn't matter which post, it doesn't care. And it's got a 25 amp fuse right there to protect it. Neat little tool. I'll put a link down below in the descriptions and stuff down there so if you want to buy you one. Well, okay, so a 0.2 of an amp, I probably am not even going to worry about putting a fuse into this. Okay, before I button this video up, I just want to point out one thing. Here's that green wire that goes out to your starter that activates it, makes the motor turn over, blah, 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 blah. Here's the deal. As long as you leave this wire one piece, all the way through, all I did was just spliced into it. If you leave that one piece, you can use the key or the switch. Now, if you cut the wire on this side, on the ignition, here's your ignition switch, way up yonder, right there. There's your, I'm looking at everything backwards again. Right there at the end of my fingertip, that's your ignition switch. If you cut that wire up close to the ignition switch, what that's going to do is it's going to take the key out of the equation to start the vehicle. Your ignition still works, but you just can't turn the starter over with the ignition key. So at that point, you're left with nothing but your little push button or toggle switch, whatever you decide to use. Do not use a regular toggle switch. You know, the one that you would use for your lights. You flip your light on and your off-road lights. Do not use that kind of switch. The one I'm using is a momentary on-off. You push it. Where'd my switch go? There it is. The switch is a momentary on-off switch. So you see this position right now. It's because that's where it rests at naturally. Now I don't have it hooked up right now, so it's not going to turn the starter over. And so what happens? Push it. That closes the circuit, completes the circuit. Okay, the motor should be turning over right now if I had the wires hooked up. I do like that. It's turning it over. I turn it loose of it. It naturally goes back into position and opens the circuit back up and turns the starter off. Button. No, it's quiet. Button, no. Button, no. Well, you get the point. So do not use a regular toggle switch. So with that being said, no, you guys figure out where you want to mount your own switch, and that's totally up to you. I've seen lots of people, you know, put the switches all along through here or up here or hanging under this, and that right there is a very popular place. You can see I've already knocked a hole in that. So I fixed to mount my switch there, tie my wiring up out of the way. So it's up to you where you want to mount your wiring at. Now how's that for a quick, easy mod? It really doesn't take long to do it. You simply take a green wire on top of your ignition switch, the ignition switch being on top of the steering column. Tap that green wire, that activates your starter, and then you take the red wire, which gives you a 12-volt supply all the time. Use the switch to complete the circuit between the two, and it kicks the starter in. This mod does not include the ignition system. I still use the key for the ignition as I showed you, and I don't plan on at this current time do anything to activate the ignition by a toggle switch or anything like that. I may do it later on for kicks and giggles, but for right now, nah. And if I do show how to do the ignition system by a switch, I'll be sure to YouTube it and I'll show you guys how to do it. As far as putting a fuse in, the fuse can be used like a theft deterrent. If you don't have a fuse in that, you cannot use the toggle switch, and that's only if you cut that wire I showed you guys in that one shot. If you cut that green wire up next to the ignition switch, it does not complete the circuit for using the key. You only have the toggle switch at that point, or the push button switch. And if you use toggle, it's a momentary toggle switch, not a full on, full off type thing. Buddy of mine, Wayne, gave me that momentary toggle switch, and I liked it, so I used it in the install. Thank you, Wayne. So with that being said, you know, you can put the fuse in if you want to. But I don't see it being totally necessary at 0.2 of an amp. That's totally your call. Let's see. Where you mount the switch, totally up to you. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything. I don't know. Just be sure that you do not use a toggle style switch. Do not use the type of switches that you'd use for your off-road lights. You do not want that starter to stay engaged when that engine starts. When that engine starts, the starter has to disengage, otherwise it'll rip the flywheel up, it'll tear your starter up, it'll cause a lot more damage than having a cool little switch. So just remember that, momentary switches only. So with that being said, hey, I'm glad you guys are checking out my video. If you like my video, give me a thumbs up. If you like my channel, please subscribe if you haven't. Each time I make one of these little videos, you will be notified via email. And I really thank for all the comments and subscribes I've been getting lately. I really like that. I really enjoy doing these videos, and that really, really emphasizes and really gives me the motivation to keep doing them. I really enjoy that, and I really appreciate it. I got a bug in my face. So, thumbs up if you like it, subscribe if you haven't, and most of all, one more thing. Check out my website, www.fixjeeps.com. A lot of great information on there on the little YJs. Go check it out. So again, everyone, most importantly, have yourself a great day. Peace out. See y'all.